So let us start with a new chapter for the second reading of the first semester, which is Statement of Financial Position. So yung video na to will be divided into different parts kasi medyo mahaba ang topic natin ng Statement of Financial Position. So at the end of this video, I am expecting that you will be able to recall the 5 major accounts, and then what are the different statement of financial position, and what is statement of financial position. First, let us remember what is the accounting equation. So the accounting equation is always asset equal to liabilities plus owner's equity. Second, what is assets? So assets is what the company can control, or what they can the things where they are able to make their decision. Liabilities are the debt of the company. Equity is is always asset minus liability is always the equity. And lastly, is sole proprietorship business. So a sole proprietorship business is a business with only one owner. So from your previous lesson, diba, nakuha natin yung process ng accounting kung saan nag-journal tsaka nag-ledger, gumagawa tayo ng mga balancing. So, hanggang sa natutunan nyo kung paano yung unadjusted trial balance, adjusting entries, tapos unadjusted trial balance. Now, let us proceed with the purpose of accounting. So, the main purpose of accounting is to provide information that is useful in making economic decision. But as you can see, kapag kayo ay nag-accounting, as long as tama ang debit at ang credit na inilagay natin, nakita natin, nagbabalance siya. Tapos kapag pinipresent natin siya sa adjusted trial balance, may kita natin magkano ang nagiging gastos ni company, magkano ang nagiging income ni company, magkano ang nagiging utang ni company, magkano ang kanyang asset, magkano ang kanyang liabilities, at magkano ang kanyang equity. So, these are the information that is being provided by accounting. So, saan papasok si useful in making economic decisions? So, we know that in a business corporate world, diba, nagkakaroon tayo ng investor, nagkakaroon tayo ng mga tinatawag nating investments. So, ang mga investor at ang mga company kung saan sila pwede mag-invest usually presents financial statement of financial position. Kasi dito nila binibase kung sila ba ay dapat mag-invest sa isang business. So, this is one way of making useful economic decision. Kasi diba, most of the investor ay mag-i-invest sa company na makikita nilang kumikita. So, paano makikita yon? Doon papasok si statement of financial position. Kasi diba, makikita mo, pwedeng itong business na to, kumikita siya, pero pag tinignan mo yung liabilities niya, pwede mas malaki yung liabilities compare doon sa equity niya. Pwede namang mas malaki si equity at sobrang liit naman ng liability. Tapos dito pa rin makikita kung consistent ba ang isang company. So, that's the reason that the purpose of accounting is to provide information that is useful in making economic decisions. So, ang ginagamit nila to communicate is the financial statement. So, a financial statement is a structured representation of an entity's financial position and the result of its operation. So, hindi tayo natatapos sa worksheet ng paggawa ng 16 columns and so on. Pero, syempre, as accountant, we are required to create or to produce financial statement kasi ito yung proper way of presenting an entity's financial position. So, ang mga information na pinoprovide ng financial statements ay ito. Number 1, how much resources are controlled by an entity and how these resources were generated. So, ito yung financial position. Pangalawa, how well is the entity performed during a certain period or ano yung result of its operation na after ba ng operation niya, nag-increase ba ang kanyang revenue na pwede natin i-compare sa previous na pwedeng consistent bang pataas ang kanyang performance during a certain period based sa revenue or pataas ba ng pataas yung sales ni company or pwede namang makita nyo din na ang sales ni company ay magaling lang sa una tapos pabagsak ng pabagsak or pwede rin namang zigzag na taas, baba. So, para hindi kayo masyadong malito, 'di ba? Yung kanina ko pa sinasabing entity refers to the reporting entity. So, a reporting entity is the one whose financial statements are being prepared para sa isang business. However, not only business prepare financial statements, other type of organizations or non-profit organizations, government, and private individuals provide reporting entity or produce financial statements. One example ng private individual is yung naririnig nating SALN or yung Statement of Assets, Liabilities, and Net Worth. Na ito yung ginagamit nila para makita kung gaano ba kayaman or kahirap yung isang business. Kaya ang purpose talaga ng accounting is to provide information. Baka gaya niyan, meron tayong mga senator na kino-compare nila yung SALN, yung Statement of Asset, Liabilities, and Net Worth na nangunguna ngayon is si Cynthia Villar, tapos pangalawa lang si Manny Pacquiao. Tapos dito rin nila nakikita yung gaya nung sa PhilHealth. Kaya napaka-importante ng pag-create ng Statement of Financial Position. Ngayon, we have a complete set of a financial statements. So we have the different type of financial statement. First is, ito yung, ang i-discuss lang natin yung major or yung basic lang ng financial statement. Una is the statement of financial position. Sometimes it is called the balance sheet or statement of the condition of the business because it provides information on the entity's assets, liabilities, and equity only. Pangalawa, statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income. So, it provides the information on income and expenses of the company. Third, we have the statement of changes in equity. Sinabing statement of changes in equity, it provides information on the movements in the component equity during the period. Fourth is the statement of cash flow. So, it is the type of financial statement that provides information on how cash and cash equivalents were generated and used during the period. And lastly, yung notes. Where notes provides narrative disclosure and other information required by the standards but we were not presented in the financial statements. So, in some cases, there are additional statement of financial position but this is discussed in higher accounting subjects. So, ang i-discuss lang natin for this grading period is the statement of financial position, statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income, statement of changes in equity, statement of cash flow, and notes. So, dyan lang tayo mag-iikot. So, ang una natin i-discuss is the statement of financial position. So, because it provides information on entities' asset, liabilities, and equity, let's start with the information on the result of operation. So, it is provided by the other components of a complete set of financial statement as follows. So, the information on financial performance is provided by the statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income. Information on changes in financial position, example, the changes in equity and changes in cash flows is provided by the statement of changes in equity and statement of cash flows. And the notes is used as the conjunction with the other financial statement. So, ito yan. Itong financial statement, it is a complete set. Pero sa loob ng set, para siyang thesis na meron tayong chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5. Parang statement of financial position, pagpalagay natin dyan si chapter 1. So, ang mapoprovide lang natin dyan is ano yung asset, liabilities, equity. Pagdating sa statement of profit or loss or yung chapter 2, di ba meron tayong sa chapter 2, meron tayong RRL. So, pero dito, ang pinaprovide niya is yung income and expense which is very important kasi 'di ba lahat naman nagtatayo ng business para sa income and expenses. Ganun din yung relationship niya kagaya ng related literatures. Third is the statement of changes in equity. Now, pag statement of changes in equity, it provides information on the movements in the company's equity during the period. Ibig sabihin, kung si business, ano yung nagiging galaw ni owner? Kasi dito nyo makikita yan. Gano'ng kadalas siya nagwi-withdraw for personal use or gano'ng kadalas nagwi-withdraw ang members ng isang business or gano'n sila kadalas nag-i-invest ulit doon sa business nila. Kasi di ba may mga business na kailangan mo ng additional capital. So, magagaling yun sa panibagong investment na naman. So, dito mo lahat makikita yon na ayan, na hindi tayo mag-i-invest sa isang business kung saan pag nakita nyo sa statement of changes in equity na lagi sila nag-i-invest doon. Tapos, syempre ikaw, hindi ka na mag-i-invest doon. Kasi once na naglabas ka, parang mahirap na maglabas na ulit ng panibagong investment doon sa same business na. Parang hindi naman siya kumikita. Pang-apat, yung statement of cash flow. Ito na yung chapter 4 kung saan dito na pinipresent yung data nyo pag sa thesis. Pero pagdating dito, ano yung nagiging movement naman ng pera? Parang, kung nagkaroon ka ng cash, lahat ng cash, saan mo in-spend? Saan mo nakuha si cash? Tapos yung mga cash equivalents, halimbawa mga cheque, ganun. Paano mo nakuha si cheque? Saan mo ginastos yung cheque? Lastly, ito yung si notes. Si notes is yung parang last chapter din naman ng thesis, which is yung references. Na siya yung ginagamit para doon sa disclosure ng iba pang information required nung chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4. Tapos yung chapter 5, which is summary and recommendation, yun na yung ipoprovide naman nung titingin ng financial statement. Let us have the statement of the elements of financial statements. First, we have asset. Second, we have liabilities. Third, we have equity or pwede ring tawagin capital, net asset, or net worth. 4 is income. And 5 is expenses. Elements are directly related to measurement of financial positions in the balance sheets are asset, liabilities, and equity. So elements are directly directed to the measurements of financial performance in the statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income are income and expenses. So these elements, like kapag financial position, it is directly related the balance sheet because assets is equal to liabilities plus equity, while elements are directed to the measurement of their performance in the statement of profit or loss because as on the equation you can see the assets is equal to liabilities plus equity. You can see in the part of equity if the business is gaining revenue or if it is losing its revenue. So let's start with assets. So assets are resources so you control that have resulted from past events and can provide you with future economic benefits. So this is the basic definition of assets. So when we say control, so it is not necessarily that you own it to be considered asset. So it is considered as control or asset as long as you control the economic benefits. It is considered your assets. So control means you have the exclusive right to enjoy it and prevent others from enjoying it. So from the definition of asset, pag sinabing control and we are defining asset at gaya ng yung workers, hindi mo naman sila pag-aari pero ikaw yung exclusive right para magtrabaho sila dun sa company mo at hindi sila magtrabaho dun sa iba kaya nagkakaroon tayo ng minsan yung tinatawag nilang breaching of contract na kapag ang isang empleyado ay nagtrabaho sa ibang company habang nagtatrabaho sa'yo, diba? You have the control. You have the exclusive right of enjoying yung skills ng isang empleyado. So, pwede siya ipagkait sa iba. Pag sinabi namang past events, dun sa definition ng accounting, it is the control over a resource have resulted from past event or transaction. So therefore, resources for which control is yet to be obtained in the future do not qualify as asset in the present. So pag sinabi nating past events, ito yung nakalagay na sa journal. Yun yung mga transaction na ginawa natin ng journal tsaka ledger. Na since galing na siya sa previous transactions, you have the control of those things or those transactions that resulted from past. Pero, halimbawa, kagaya ng nagkakaroon tayo ng unearned income, diba? Kaya siya na under ng liability kasi wala pa sa atin yung control. Pero, may assurance ka rin naman na ma-obtain mo siya in the future. Pero, kagaya nga ng sinasabi dito, as long as hindi pa siya included sa past transaction or past event, hindi natin siya makukonsider as asset ng present. Kasi, di ba, hindi mo masasabi, paano kung si unearned income biglang mag-back out? So, hindi natin siya isasama. Kagaya nung sa kasabihan na huwag ka magbibilang ng manok hanggat hindi pa napipisa ang itlog. Kasi hindi mo alam yung iba doon bugok. Kaya ganun din sa accounting. Future economic benefits. So when we say future, it means that the resources is expected to provide economic benefit over more than one accounting period. But if it does provide economic benefit only in one accounting period, then it is not an asset but an expense. So, di ba? Kasi meron tayong accounting period na kapag ang isang asset or ang isang bagay na binili mo ay hindi kayang i-sustain yung needs ni business, hindi siya nagiging asset pero siya ay tinatawag lang nating expense. Hindi siya pwedeng tawaging asset kasi 'di ba, hindi tayo nagtatayo ng business para lang bumili ka ng isang bagay na good for 1 year lang. Ang binibili mo is yung pangmatagalan kasi hindi ka nga nag-e-expect na magsasarado si business. So for an economic benefit, so it has the potential of the resources to provide you directly or indirectly with cash. So the resources can be sold or exchanged for other asset. So the resources can be used single or in combination with other assets to produce goods for sale. The resources can be used to settle a liability, or the resources can be distributed to the owner. One good example ng asset for future economic benefit is kapag pumili ka ng sasakyan. 'Di ba? Pag pumili ka ng sasakyan, hindi ka taon-taon bibili ng sasakyan. So, hindi after every accounting period magpapalit ka ng sasakyan kasi hindi naman agad sira yung sasakyan. Kaya kung may papansin nyo kapag nakita kayo ng mga matagal ng company sa sasakyan nila, medyo yung iba madalas luma na. So, ito rin yung may economic benefit kasi nga pag merong sasakyan, pwede mo siyang ibenta, magkakaroon ka ng cash. Pwede mo siyang ipalit for other asset. Halimbawa, magte-trade. Pwedeng si sasakyan gamitin mo para mag-distribute pagiging delivery car na siya. Or pwede mo rin siya ipangbayad ng liability. So, yun yung definition ng asset. We have control. We have future economic benefits. So, yun ang definition ng asset. So, you have the control, you have the past events, and you have the future economic benefits. Now, let's proceed with liabilities. So, liabilities are your present obligations that have resulted from past events and can require you to give up resources when settling them. Pag sinabi naman natin liabilities, mahati siya dito. We have present obligation. It means that right now, you have a responsibility to pay someone because of an obligating event that has already transpired. Kapag sinabi namang obligating event, these are events that creates a legal obligation. So it arises from a contract, a law, or other operation of law. So, ibig sabihin, once na nangutang kayo, you have the responsibility na bayaran siya. So makukuha mo yon dito, pwedeng kontrata, kaya nagkakaroon tayo ng notes payable, pwedeng by law, halimbawa, salaries ng mga empleyado mo, other operation of law, halimbawa sa electricity, so hindi mo siya nabayaran, di ba doon magpo-produce si utilities payable. Pero yun, meron ka obligasyon na bayaran kasi pag hindi mo binayaran yun, matitigil yung supply mo ng electricity. Kaya kapag sinabing liability, they are present obligations. So, kailangan mo siyang bayaran. Kailangan mo pang mag-settle or magbenta ng asset para lang mabayaran siya, kailangan mong gawin kasi that is your obligation. Pangalawa, meron tayong constructive obligation. It is arise from past business practices or published policies that have created a valid expectation on the part of others that you will pay them. So ito yung ito naman yung pwedeng pag nangutang ka sa bangko, diba? That is a constructive obligation. Galing siya sa past business practices kasi pag na-short ka, kailangan maghanap ng uutangan mo. So, mangutang ka ngayon sa bangko. And then, si bangko meron siyang sariling policy na sa part niya, kailangan mo siyang bayaran. Nag-expect siya na kailangan mo siyang bayaran. Last is equity. Equity is simply asset minus liabilities. So, other term for equity are capital, net assets, and net worth. So, once na subtract mo na si liability kay asset, the remaining is your equity.